Okay, so officially welcome, Elaine, back to our Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. So, as usual, start with our daily quote for today. It's a bit of teaching related to that, and that'll lead us nicely into today's workbook lesson. So, let me just share my screen with you. You can kick it off by reading this quote for today. All right, so if you can read the headline quote.
You are heaven's Halley's Comet. You have one shot at seeing you shine.
Yeah, an American minister and author called Max Lucado said that. So he's really speaking about your higher purpose in the world. Halley's Comet, if you you know what it is, it comes every 76 years, I think. It orbits, goes around the solar system every 76 years, and it comes close to Earth every 76 years. So you're likely to see it kind of once in your life, because of the length of time it takes. So, hence the analogy. You have one shot at seeing you shine. So make the most of this life. Carpe diem, seize the day, in other words. So speaking about your higher purpose in the world, because when you choose heaven, which is one name for the transcendent reality that every authentic spiritual teaching points to as part of the perennial philosophy, you're choosing to let it shine its light or awareness into the world through you. And this awareness manifests as the happiness, peace, and joy that you experience. You can help others experience as well through your example. So when you choose heaven, which is one name for this transcendent state of pure formless awareness that every authentic spiritual teaching points to, for example, Buddhists call it nirvana, it's called moksha in Hinduism, there's other names for it. You're also choosing to let awareness of its reality arise in the world through you. So you allow yourself to become the instrument, the vehicle for this heavenly presence, divine energy, we could call it, to come into the world. But most people don't want to choose heaven because they think doing so will alienate them from people and events in this world, and they don't want to let go of these attachments. At a deeper level, many people also have a fear of death, because this means leaving their bodies in this world behind entirely. So even though they may want to go to heaven, another part of their mind doesn't want to die to do this. In fact, in that famous Steve Jobs speech that I've shared before, he says, yeah, well, everyone wants to go to heaven, but most people don't want to have to die to do it. And the audience gives a kind of chuckle or laugh because we know what he means. Yes, conceptually we want heaven, but then we're scared of death. But you can only go to heaven, which is by definition formless, if you leave the body behind, which we call death. So the death of the body is necessary if you're going to if you're going to enter heaven. So thanks for posting that, Lena. You just posted that.
Oh yeah, just
group.
yeah.
So The Last Shaman, yeah, check it out. Anyone who's listening to the live stream, we just talked about The Last Shaman as a movie. There's some interesting spiritual teaching in there, particularly if you're looking at using substances like ayahuasca or other plant medicines to facilitate your awakening. It might be a bit sobering from that point of view. So check it out, The Last Shaman on it's on Gaia and on Amazon Prime, you said.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's true that ultimately the choice for heaven will result in you leaving the world of time and space behind to stay permanently in this eternal, infinite state of awareness. But while you're seemingly in this world, you can engage with life in this world in a way that you are done through, as David Hoffmeister puts it, which means that the light or awareness of heaven guides all your words, decisions, and actions, and uses your mind as a channel for expressing itself in the world. And this is what Yeshua meant when he told his disciples that although they were not of this world, their function was to share the truth with as many people as possible while they seemed to be living in it. And so you have a mission and a purpose here that is a reflection of heaven. It's not heaven itself. It's not the state of pure formless awareness, but some of that state, that awareness, comes through in your awareness, and it directs your thoughts, words, and actions into doing and saying things that are helpful for this awareness to spread in the world. And that becomes your higher purpose, is to spread this awareness in the world in whatever way that you can. And you're called to do that. You know, for some people, like take example, Yeshua, it was speaking it. He was a great orator, so he spoke it and he demonstrated it through his actions, through his words, and through his teachings and his healings of many people. For most of us, you know, we maybe don't have quite the same connection with source as he did. So it's going to be on whatever level we can do it. You're not necessarily going to go wandering around healing sick people all day or preaching sermons on mountains, but you do it in your own way, and that's can be very practical. It's with all, you know, the people you spend time with, your special relationships, it was friends, family. It's in your social life, it's in your work life, it's in your family life. You bring the light with you, and you let that light shine in and through you as an awareness that comes through and directs words, thoughts, and actions, and indirectly blesses the other people whom you're interacting with, because we all like to interact with people who are connected to source, who are in flow. That feels good to people, unless they're completely identified with the ego, in which case they will interpret that as being very threatening, as was the case with Yeshua. People who loved him, really deeply loved him, and his enemies were completely polarized against him to the point where they wanted to kill him. And you know, that's kind of the nature of this. You've got to be for or against the truth. You can't be somewhere in between. You go, well, I'm neither for or against. You've got to believe, either believe in truth or believe in its opposite. It's a binary choice, which I think is important to make. That's how you get out of duality, is by making the correct choice that seems to be binary or dualistic, but actually the more you make it, the more you realize that this is really the only choice, that there is no other choice, and eventually the other choice collapses and there's only the one choice. Okay. So Yeshua told his disciples, be in the world but not of it. But the same guidance applies to you as a modern day disciple. So you can remain in the world for a while to learn to let go of all attachments to this world. You can experience what he calls a happy dream in today's text section, and in the process spread the happiness, peace, and joy that stem from this transcendent realm through your example. By feeling these exalted emotions and thinking related positive thoughts, you also powerfully and positively influence the mind of the sonship, as Yeshua calls it in Course in Miracles, what's known as the quantum or morphic field. And so this is where, we say you lived your purpose. You had an effect on others and on the world you're affecting this quantum or morphic field in a powerful way. And the more, the greater you are in the soul. When we say, someone led a great life, it meant, they had a deep and profound impact on the quantum or morphic field because of the depth of their own faith and their ability to be the light of the world and let it come through them and demonstrate that to others. And so we're called on to do the same thing. Just related to the heaven theme of today, if you listen to Anita Moorjani, she gave a description of what, her experience in a coma. So she had a near-death experience for about half an hour where she left her body and she was really just, floating in this transcendent realm beyond the body, but she could still interact with this world. She could still see and experience what was going on in the hospital with, expanded perception. So she could see what the doctors were doing. She could even see the choices. She saw like two scenarios. She saw a scenario playing out of the doctors looking at her results, and depending on the choice she made at that moment, because she had a choice of whether she was going to come back and stay, carry on living her life and heal from the cancer, or leave. And she saw that, playing out. She saw both scenarios. Okay, well, if I choose to come back, then the doctors are going to be looking at my scans and they're going to go, oh, wow, this is amazing that her tumors are shrinking. And if she chooses to leave, then they were going to be having a conversation about her death. And so she saw that sort of binary outcomes depending on the choice she made. She had conversations with her father and a late friend who'd also died of cancer. And she just describes, what that experience was like. She went into this pure formless awareness, if you like, a state in which she was really connected to her source. So she describes that in quite some detail in this passage, in this video. So definitely worth watching or listening to. And then, that should inspire you to choose heaven or the state of pure formless awareness and act with loving kindness towards every person and sentient being to bring a touch of heaven to earth. This is a really good place to start from. And if you're inspired to do nothing else in your life, being consistently loving and kind to people will help you to find what I call foundational happiness, help other people to do the same. Whatever else you feel inspired to do on top of this is just a miraculous bonus, but you don't need to anticipate or desire it, because that will only sabotage your experience of heaven, which is always right now. Always right now, and cannot possibly be experienced in the illusory states of mind we call past and future. And so kingdom of heaven is within, said Yeshua. It means it's right here, right now, in your own experience. And it's simply, can you let go of the blocks to that awareness to start, accessing it more and more? And that's really where the spiritual practices come in, to remove the blocks to the awareness of heaven, or pure formless awareness, or perfect love, as we call it, and allow that awareness to arise more and more in you, in your mind, so that you stay rooted in this awareness. And ideally, more often than not, you're in this very, deeply peaceful, blissful state we call heaven. You don't have to engage in, all of the ego's foolishness anymore. Okay, so that leads us into today's live session. Any comments or questions about any of that, Elaine?
No, that's clear. Yeah.
No.
Clear.
Okay, so let's have a look then at today's workbook lesson, another review lesson, 149 we're on to. So if you can read that in the original, and then the alternative as a separate sentence, although I put it in brackets just because of lack of space. So it would be, my mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with perfect loving awareness.
Yeah. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with perfect loving awareness. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. Heaven, or pure formless awareness, is the decision I must make. I must decide for pure formless awareness.
So thoughts on that? Anything come to you? Any insights related to that?
Well, it's urging us to decide for our natural self, that who we truly are, instead of all the ego nonsense. So we can decide right now and get back to our rightful state, pure formless awareness.
Yeah, exactly. He's saying there's a choice. You can choose this state of awareness. It's available right now. I must decide for it. So translation, heaven is the decision I must make. For a lot of people, that might be very abstract. It's like, well, heaven is in the afterlife. Heaven is not here now. But I must decide for pure formless awareness is a decision we take for a state of awareness right now. That state of awareness is available and accessible right now. You would generally need to go into meditation to experience it because it's formless and there's no perception in it, but it's available and you can experience that right now in every moment. And that awareness, idea of this is you might, do a longer meditation or two every day to go into that awareness and experience it very deeply and directly. But then you carry this awareness with you afterwards. So it doesn't just leave you. Wherever you go, there God is. God is with you wherever you go. That's another course lesson. Because this awareness doesn't depart from you. This awareness is your own true awareness. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. It does. Oh, yeah, no, I mean, we know it. We know that quiet beingness, and it's very peaceful. However, the ego still raises its head, but as you say, you quickly realize that that's not real. So we return ourselves back to our natural state. Well, that's the theory.
What I like about this teaching is that it's a choice. Some teachings are, well, heaven's there, but you can't really choose it. Heaven will happen one day. One day you'll go there. You're saying, no, it's a choice you make. We can make that choice
this holy
every
instant
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if, we're still discussing, you talking, you interacting in the world, you can choose this underlying peaceful awareness. Pure formless awareness is inherently peaceful. You can choose that peaceful awareness over the inturbulated awareness of the world, which encapsulates all the different kinds of ego emotions: fear, guilt, attack, thoughts, anger, rage, jealousy, sadness, depression, anxiety, and on and on it goes. Whenever any of those states come in and you become aware of them, you can decide for pure formless awareness. You can say, no, I don't want this negative awareness, which negates pure formless awareness. So I choose to let go of the thoughts and the emotions that make up the state. And then you're deciding in that moment for pure formless awareness. So deciding for pure formless awareness or heaven means that you decide to let go of the ego, which blocks that awareness. That's how you practically make the decision. Because again, people can go, okay, well, what's the deal here? How do you actually do that? How practical is this? It's actually really practical, because each moment, if you choose to be peaceful, you are making the decision for pure formless awareness in that moment. You're making the decision for heaven in that moment. And the idea is, the more you make that decision, the more that awareness becomes your choice and your default state, the more the ego, which is the opposite of this pure formless awareness, which is always inturbulated awareness and really not peaceful, the ego starts to be undone, to fade away and be undone, which is, of course, what we want. So just that, this one sentence, I must decide for pure formless awareness, or heaven is the decision I must make, would be enough to free your mind completely. That's how profound each idea is. I must decide for pure formless awareness would take you back to heaven, to the ultimate state of heaven beyond this world, beyond the body, beyond name and form use, would return back to your original awareness. All right. So any other thoughts on
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
that
we
lesson?
all, we understand it. As I say, it's just experiencing it, but the journey goes on, and it's being experienced more and more. And the experience is what gives you the confidence.
If you can start making the decision for this awareness in your daily life, that's practicing the course, that's living the course. Okay, so practically speaking, I'm feeling a little bit upset. Something's happened to trigger me, something's done or said something that I don't like. I'm feeling upset. I'm tempted to dwell on that upset, to go, well, how can you do this to me? And you're to blame. And then I hold a grievance and I get more upset, and I can hold on to all of those thoughts and emotions. Or using the lesson, you correct that. You say, no, heaven is the decision I must make in the situation. So the situation is clearly disturbing my peace. I definitely don't feel like I'm in heaven, but it's really a call for a correction. The Holy Spirit is calling us to make a correction. And we can do that. We can make a choice. We can choose to let go of those thoughts and emotions that are negative, that block this pure formless awareness. And that's all really the spiritual path entails, is the letting go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And if you're doing that, then you'll be fine. Then you're on your spiritual path. You're living the course, and ultimately, if you keep choosing this awareness, ultimately this awareness will be yours 100%, completely, eternally.
Which
the difficulty comes that we don't always recognize what we're choosing, do we? When we choose the ego,
exactly,
we don't recognize what we're doing. We're saying, I'm actively making a choice now for this ego thought system that condemns me to pain, misery, suffering, and death, and I'll carry on in that cycle of birth and suffering and death endlessly until I make a different choice, until I decide for pure formless awareness, that I want pure formless awareness above all of the things that the world offers me. And he needs to make that choice explicit, which he does in many of these lessons. I must decide for this. I must decide for pure formless awareness. I've made it first person active rather than heaven is the decision I must make. I must decide is stronger, isn't it? It's like I must decide for this right now in every situation. If I ever want to experience pure formless awareness and go to heaven, I must make consistent decisions for it. That makes so much sense. I can't expect to experience pure formless awareness if I consistently decide against it, and I'm deciding to be really attached to form and all of the upsets and the drama that go along with that. I am in fact deciding against pure formless awareness in that situation, which doesn't make any sense if you understand what you're actually doing. Well, why would I decide against what is, my ultimate salvation, my own true self, my ultimate salvation, my awakening. Why would I do that when I can have pure formless awareness? It doesn't make any sense, but we need the explicit statement, I must decide for pure formless awareness, or heaven is the decision I must make, to remind us of this, that it is a very conscious, explicit choice that we can and indeed must make. And we must make that repeatedly. It's not a one-time process. It's you make it whenever you get any kind of challenge, any kind
Which
of
is every
apparent
day.
negative life.
Which
Yeah,
generally
moment by
every
moment.
day. Yeah. Yeah.
You choose heaven moment by moment. Then if you do that, over the course of a whole lifetime, it's not really surprising that you'll ultimately get there. You'll finally arrive at the state of pure formless awareness, and you'll be so rooted in that state and so comfortable in that state that you'll stay there. So look at the timeline of consciousness. This is just an illustration of that. So we get these situations happening in our lives every day, but every now and then a bigger one comes up, and we call that a major life event, and often they're traumatic. They're not very pleasant. It might be a death of a parent, might be a rejection by your first special love, it might be a messy divorce, it might be a loss of a job, it might be an illness, a heart attack, a stroke, some other illness. You might have some success on the way. Major success, for example, sale of a business for millions. Well, we know people in our community who've done all of this. They've had virtually all of these experiences. Someone sold a business, someone's got divorced, someone's lost a job, someone's been sick, and so on and so on. So these are, very common events, but none of it really needs to impact you if you don't believe in the ego's story of it. The psychological and emotional attachment is the problem. So you get the trigger, the event happens, but how you perceive it, which comes out of your ego's psychological and emotional attachments, is the real problem. And so you're either going to perceive it egoically, in which case it roots you down onto the timeline. You think you really are a character with just another set of problems in the timeline, or it raises you up and you say, I can transcend this level. I can let go of my ego psychological and emotional attachments to this, i.e. let go of the red arrows, and then what remains will be the Holy Spirit just reinterpreting that situation for you and saying, well, you don't need to suffer unduly. You don't need to do anything. Just allow the Holy Spirit to come in and remind you of your true awareness, of pure formless awareness in the situation. And that will restore your mind back to this calm place. From that calm place, you can then download ideas, thoughts, ideas, words, actions will come on the downside of the arrow. The upside is the upload. You go into the state. The downside is coming back with more awareness and being guided. Now you can be guided as to how you should face this problem in your life, this trauma or this trauma. Right. Does that model make sense? You see how it fits together with the lesson very nicely, and that it's just it's a moment by moment. You're doing this every day. Whenever you choose to let go of ego, psychological, and emotional attachment, that plays out as thoughts and emotions. So you let those go. You deny the ego, psychological, and emotional attachments. You deny your ego identity. You deny time and space. Okay, so a very simple lesson, but a very powerful one, isn't it? I must decide moment by moment for heaven. When I decide for heaven, I must choose to let go of my attachment to this world. I can't choose this awareness and also be attached to form in a body, in a world, because it is pure formless awareness. Again, do you see the benefit of translating? If it's formless awareness, then that's telling you the very essence of it, the nature of it. Yeah. So a bit of context for that. Let's go back to today's lesson. So my mind holds only what I think with pure, perfect, loving awareness. When I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. Maybe let's just talk about that briefly. So any thoughts on that first review lesson?
Again, that makes sense. You know, when you're healed, you're going to radiate positivity, which will heal others. It makes sense.
I'm not healed alone because we're all connected. In
Yeah.
the quantum field, the morphic field, quantum field, universal mind, whatever you want to call it, every mind is connected in that awareness or mind. So when you heal your mind, that automatically, whether you do anything or say anything or not, automatically that has an impact on others who are in the same mind. We all communicate non-verbally in that quantum field or morphic field of mind, which then transmits. This is how, you know, communication happens remotely. And they've in fact done studies on this. I'll just mention it briefly. It's interesting. So Rupert Sheldrake did a lot of research on these phenomena. It said if one species, one group of a species, let's say there's a group of monkeys on an island, and they start doing a behavior, like let's say they'll use a stone to crack a nut, a big or a gourd or something to crack it open to eat it. When this actually is one of the instances they studied. They found that as soon as one monkey troop had adopted that behavior, a new behavior, and they documented that, it miraculously spread within a few months to other monkey troops that were sometimes hundreds, maybe even thousands of miles away. Now, how does that happen? There's no travel, there's no direct communication. But somehow it spread, that behavior, it spread globally. So how is that possible unless there's some kind of telepathic communication going on? I.e., when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. It all goes into the one mind where everyone gets, you know, has is affected by it, has an experience of it. And the more powerful your own healing, let's take Yeshua as an example, you know, very, very deep awareness, very a deep healing of his own mind and connection with his source or God. And then he's able to come forward and, you know, and profoundly influence the whole of humanity through this example, through the healings he's you know, changed the world quite profoundly. Okay, so when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. Here is the decision I must make. And that all fits quite nicely in the banner under the umbrella, should we say, of my mind holds only what I think with God or pure, perfect, loving awareness. All right. So any other thoughts or questions on
No, that's good. Yes, no, that's clear.
the lesson?
Yeah, that's very
All
clear.
right. So let's do a meditation on it. And then we'll do some text.
Yeah.
Okay. So just making yourself comfortable. Just sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap. Have your hands, palms facing upwards, on your thighs. Close your eyes and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through your nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just noticing that. Clench the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up the spine. Draw it up the spine with the breath. Feel this energy rising up into the heart center. You can put one hand in the heart. And just scan your mind now at the top of the inhale. Take another deep breath in. And scan your mind for any thoughts that are not loving. I translated God in the first idea of today's lesson, which is repeated every day for these 10 review lessons. My mind or awareness holds only what I think with God being perfect, loving awareness. Sometimes we translate God as pure, formless awareness of perfect love. But perfect, loving awareness makes it very, very practical. I think with perfect, loving awareness. So I cannot think with anything other than a loving awareness. My mind holds only what I think with God or with perfect, loving awareness. Breathe in that awareness, invite it in with the breath into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in this perfect loving awareness. This is pure potential, pure, perfect loving awareness. It's the base state of your mind. So feel that, experience that. Breathe in on it. You can imagine breathing in light, if that helps you, a golden or white light, or just a sense of lightness coming in to lighten your self-imposed load. You carry the burden of the ego. You always have and always will with the ego's thought system's very heavy. But if your mind holds only what you think with God or perfect loving awareness, then that can be over. So remind yourself as you breathe in again that when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. Breathe in on that truth. And you can say it aloud to yourself, when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone, to affirm its truth. And in this state, remind yourself that heaven is the decision I must make or must decide for pure formless awareness. That's our translation. Heaven, pure formless awareness, the state of pure formless awareness. So I decide for the state of pure formless awareness. Heaven is the decision I must make. I must decide for. When I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. And heaven is the decision I must make, or I must decide for pure formless awareness. So again, breathe in this awareness into every pore and every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the light of this true awareness. I must decide for pure formless awareness. Say that, and then exhale on the truth of that. Exhale and have a sense of releasing. Sinking inwards to this awareness you've decided for. You let go. So forgiveness is the decision for pure formless awareness. Forgiveness or letting go lets go of all the blocks to this awareness. The awareness of love's presence, as Yeshua calls it in the introduction. Just let those go, blow them away with the breeze of your breath into the nothingness that they really are. They're going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here in this still calm place, deeper awareness. Which you can experience. You can decide for it and you can open your mind to that experience. If your eyes are closed and there's no sense perceptions going on, it's easier to just allow this experience of pure formless awareness to come. So just for a couple of minutes of deep silence, allow this experience to arise. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, maybe nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and surrender into this awareness, sinking inwards to a deeper awareness of your source, of the truth of who you really are. Surrender to this experience. There's nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do, there's nothing else to think about. For the next few minutes of deep silence, just give yourself over to this experience of heaven or pure formless awareness. Let that awareness encompass you completely. You merge with it with you. You are this awareness. And there is no other awareness. There's no separation from this awareness. You are it and it is you. This is the merging of the Father with the Son, source with its extension. So give yourself this sacred divine experience right now, which is the only time there is, right now, and each now moment for the rest of the meditation. So observe your breath blowing in and out out through your nose. Keep your mind calm, empty, open, spacious, and aware. Just gently coming back from this deep connected state. It's heavenly awareness, pure formless awareness. You bring your mind back into form via your senses. So just start becoming aware of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. And on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind, so noticing any thoughts, related emotions, maybe they show up as body sensations. Breathe into all of it and remind yourself that my mind holds only what I think with God, with perfect loving awareness. When I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. And heaven, pure formless awareness, is the decision I must make. I must decide for pure formless awareness. Heaven is the decision I must make. I must decide for pure formless awareness. You do that by letting go of anything else. So just exhale, just blowing away the breeze of your breath. Exhaling out any darkness. So that's any negating thoughts or emotions that negate the truth of pure formless awareness. Blow them away with the breeze of your breath. The nothingness they really are. Count to 2. Blow it all out. Feel the weight of your body now resting down on the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling. With your hands touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose perhaps. Notice that. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. And you're just noticing all these things from this very still, calm and surrendered state of mind, without illusions, in which only the truth is true. So just anchor this state in, connect to this state, remind yourself that the mind holds only what you think with pure formless awareness, perfect loving awareness. And I must decide for this awareness. And so I do. So I decide for pure formless awareness now and forevermore, for each moment when I'm called to make a choice. I make the choice for this awareness. It's what this lesson really means. And in that choice is the paradox of this world. Result. There is only one awareness. There is no duality. There's singular awareness, a singular reality, a single identity, single reality, and you are that. It is you, you are it. Father and the Son, the source and its extension have merged and become as one in this transcendent awareness. And that's, you can get a glimpse of that transcendent state. you will remain in a very happy state. This is the happy dream, which leads us nicely into today's text reading today. So, on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around, observing the room around you in this very calm, clear, aware state, this perfect loving awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, we call it, is everywhere, in everything, everywhere. Notice it. If there's anything comes to mind, any thoughts or emotions that come up. Imagine they're just like clouds just blowing across the sky, totally blue sky of your mind. Just let them drift by. You exhale, blow them away. Cannot take them as real. Anchor the state in of pure awareness with the words, my mind holds only what I think, with God or this perfect loving awareness. When I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. And this awareness is the decision I make. I must decide for pure formless awareness. Now and forevermore, moment by moment. And so it is. Amen. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and the first part of the session. So let's jump into some text, shall we? All right, so let's have a look at today's text reading, which is section 5 of chapter 18, called The Happy Dream. He's talked about this concept before, so we have a whole section now dedicated to what is the happy dream. Right, so let's jump into that. So not actually that long, Elaine. We'll have time to finish this in an hour. I think it's 7 paragraphs. 7 paragraphs. Okay, so you with me, Elaine? You're muted, just so you know.
Yeah.
All right. So should we do? I'll help you. I'll read the original.
Yeah.
You read the alternative. So prepare you now for the undoing of what never was.
Now I prepare for the undoing of what never was.
If you already understood the difference between truth and illusion, the atonement would have no meaning.
If I already understood the difference between truth and illusion, the atonement would have no meaning.
The holy instant, the holy relationship, the Holy Spirit's teaching, and all the means by which salvation is accomplished would have no purpose.
The holy aware moment, the innocent relationship, the remembrance of perfect love's teaching, and all the means by which awakening happens would have no purpose.
For they are all but aspects of the plan to change your dreams of fear to happy dreams, from which you awaken easily to knowledge.
For they are all only aspects of the plan to change my dreams of fear to happy dreams, from which I awaken easily to knowledge.
Put yourself not in charge of this, for you cannot distinguish between advance and retreat.
I will not put myself in charge of this plan, for I cannot distinguish between progress and delay on this journey.
Some of your greatest advances you have judged as failures, and some of your deepest retreats you have evaluated as success.
I have judged some of my greatest advances as failures, and have evaluated some of my deepest retreats and delays as success.
Okay, then from the top in the alternative column.
Now I prepare for the undoing of what never was. If I already understood the difference between truth and illusion, the adornment would have no meaning. The wholly aware moment, the innocent relationship, the remembrance of perfect love's teaching and all the means by which awakening happens would have no purpose. For they are all only aspects of the plan to change my dreams of fear to happy dreams from which I will awaken easily to knowledge. I will not put myself in charge of this plan, for I cannot distinguish between progress and delay on this journey. I have judged some of my greatest advances as failures and have evaluated some of my deepest retreats and delays as success.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
Well, it's now preparation for the undoing that never was. We knew
Undoing of what never was, yeah. So
yeah,
that's the paradox. You're undoing what never really existed. But the problem is we think it existed. So we have to undo it in order to realize that it never existed. It's all a bit weird, isn't it? It's a bit strange when you start getting into the illusion of the world and understanding what he's really saying. Prepare you now for the undoing of what never was. So, and that's our task, to undo what never was. But obviously, while we're undoing it, we still believe it was and still is. Otherwise, we wouldn't need to undo it. That's the paradox we face. And then he's saying, well, if we really understood the difference between truth and illusion, then the one would have no meaning. Because you wouldn't need the holy aware moment or the holy innocent. You wouldn't need the holy relationship, the innocent relationship, the remembrance of perfect love's teaching, and all of the means by which awakening happens. They would have no purpose at all. For they're just aspects of the plan to change my mind from dreams of fear to happy dreams, from which I will awaken easily to knowledge. So if we look at this in diagrammatic form, let's go to our Holy Trinity diagram. And there it is demonstrated in a diagram in levels. So what he's talking about, the at-one-ment, is all of the means that we use, the corrections, the miracles, the letting go, all the spiritual practices, all the mind training is designed to take your mind from its fixed belief in a separate self and this world that is the projection of that separate self, and raise it up into an awareness of the Christ or your true self. And that means you've got to let go of your attachment to the world and to your separate identity that seems to function in the world. So if you fully understood the difference between this world of illusion, time and space, the ego's world, and this other reality or world of pure formless awareness of perfect love, he's saying you wouldn't need at one moment, you wouldn't need a process to understand what you already understand, because you'd already be here. But he meets us where we are. He says, well, I know you're not there. I know you're not in pure formless awareness of perfect love, very evidently, because you all have bodies. You still think you're a body. You still have sense perceptions. You're still usually quite attached to and identified with your body and the body's sense perception. So I know that you're not in this awareness most of the time. So I'm going to meet you where you are, which is in this dualistic awareness of your ego that really believes in the body and time and space and all the reality of all the experiences of time and space. He says, I'll meet you there, but I'll take you through this process of undoing, he calls the at-one-ment, to correct your mind systematically and progressively to the point where you realize I am just one self. There's really only one me, and there's only one of us here. And that is an extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love or knowledge. So that's why he says over here that this makes way for knowledge. So when I distinguish truth from illusion, my dreams of fear give way to happy dreams, then I will awaken easily to knowledge. So once I'm rooted in this higher self or Christ awareness, there's a natural awakening into knowledge, which is pure formless awareness of perfect love. That he actually says God takes the final step. So that's not something that he's training us to do, but he's training us to prepare for the coming of knowledge by correcting our perceptions. And that we can do continuously. We can be aware of how we're perceiving things, and we can choose to change our mind and ally ourselves with our true self, the Christ, or with the lower self, the ego, and perceive accordingly. Those are the choices. Those are the only two choices we really have in this world. Although there seem to be many, many choices, those are the only, really the only two that seem to exist. And then even one of them is false. The choice for the illusion or the separate self is a false choice, although it seems to be quite real in this world. Okay, so is that clear, right? The diagram puts it in context. It's important to understand this Holy Trinity, which is why we go through it, because it's the operating system that he's teaching us. And you need to know your way around the operating system to understand how to operate the whole system we call our lives. All right, so let's go to number 2 then. Happy to move on?
Yes.
All right, so never approach the holy instant after you have tried to remove all fear and hatred from your mind.
I will never approach the holy aware moment after I have tried to remove all fear and hatred from my mind.
That is its function.
That is its function.
Let's make that this. This is its function. Prefer that to this. So never attempt to overlook your guilt before you ask the Holy Spirit's help.
I will never attempt to overlook my guilt before I ask for the remembrance of perfect love's help.
That is his function.
That is its function.
Look at this. So your part is only to offer him a little willingness to let him remove all fear and hatred and to be forgiven.
My part is only to be a little willing to let it remove all fear and hatred and set me free. Me. Set me free, me.
Needs to be set me free. Edit.
Yeah.
All right. On your little faith joined with his understanding, He will build your part in the atonement and make sure that you fulfill it easily.
It will build my part in the atonement on the foundation of my little faith, joined with its understanding, and making sure that I fulfill it easily.
And with him you will build a ladder planted in the solid rock of faith and rising even to heaven.
And I will build a ladder planted in the solid rock of faith, rising up to the complete state of pure formless awareness with it.
I think with it should go here. Or I will build. And with it. And with it, I will build. So the idea of the building your house on the foundation of rock is that parable of the house built on rock versus the sand. He's kind of referencing to that. Nor will you use it to ascend to heaven alone.
Nor will I use it to awaken into the state of pure formless awareness alone.
Yeah, and from the top in the alternative.
I should never approach the wholly aware moment after I have tried to remove all fear and hatred from my mind. This is its function. I will never attempt to overlook my guilt before I ask for the remembrance of perfect love's help. This is its function. My part is only to be a little willing to let it remove all fear and hatred and set me free. It will build my part in the atonement on the foundation of my little faith, joined with its understanding, and make sure that I fulfill it easily. And with it, I will build a ladder planted in the solid rock of faith, rising up to the complete state of pure formless awareness. Nor will I use it to awaken into the state of pure formless awareness alone. So it's just asking us not to approach this wholly aware moment on our own, because this is the remembrance of perfect love's function. So we should never attempt to overlook our guilt before we ask for this from the remembrance of perfect love's help, because that's its function. So we only have to be a little bit willing and let this fear and hatred, let it remove all our fear and hatred and set us free. All we need to do is have a little faith and what's it saying there? Build a ladder planted on a solid rock of faith. So it's saying, so we won't use this to awaken alone, this state of pure formless awareness. It's for the whole sonship.
Yeah, it echoes one of today's review lessons. When I'm healed, I'm not healed alone.
Yeah.
We talked about the happy dream as well. So yeah, I like the analogies used, the visualization. It's saying you build a ladder planted in the solid rock of faith, rising up to the complete state of pure formless awareness. So we need foundations in this world. I think there can be a danger, people being too otherworldly, ethereal. We call them space cadets, or you're just all like floating on a cloud of bliss. Often they're prone to drug use and this kind of thing. You know the kinds of people. And there's no kind of solidity, of like, okay, you can actually, operate. You can function in a functional, practical, kind of normal way in this world. I remember when I came over to UK about 11 years ago. My friend at the time, he said, what impresses me about you, John, is that you have all the spiritual stuff going on, but actually you're very competent. If I give you something to do, you can like focus and you can get the task done and get the job done and do it efficiently, effectively. So it's not all just, hey, chihuahua, oh, wow, we're all floating in a cloud of bliss. It's like, no, you can do stuff in the world. Although you're
Yeah.
not in the world, you're not of the world, as Yeshua says. You're functioning in the world for a while. And so this is where he's talking about the solid rock of faith. Okay, so I'm in the world. I'm not in a state of pure formless awareness fully yet, but I'm taking this awareness with me. And this awareness gives me the rock of faith, which allows me then to have a very solid foundation. No matter what happens in this world, I have that knowledge, that understanding that this awareness is all there really is. And this is all I'm choosing. I decide only for this, as today's other review lesson says, must decide for pure formless awareness. That becomes the foundation. That's your go-to, isn't it? If something happens and you're feeling whatever a negative thought and emotion comes, you've got a place to return to. You can go back to this awareness. You can remind yourself of the principles. You can let go of what's blocking your awareness of pure formless awareness. And that becomes your rock. If you don't have that, if you don't have that understanding, that knowledge, where do you go? That's the question. What refuge do you take in the world? When, as the parable says, when the storms come and the winds blow, Yeshua says, the person who builds his house on the sand, the house is going to be blown down. They're going to have no refuge. They're not going to be able to cope with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as Shakespeare put it. The storms that inevitably come, the adversities that test us in this world, because they've got no place to go back to. They don't have a solid foundation. Whereas with that solid foundation, you go, okay, I'll go back to first principles. No matter what's trying to rock my world is established not on the shaky foundations of illusion, but on the eternal truth, which cannot be shaken. The eternal truth is true no matter what seems to happen in this world. If I remind myself of that, then I have a solid foundation. And it's really as simple as that. It's maintaining this awareness no matter what. That becomes the rock of faith on which you build your life, as he's saying. Easier said than done, isn't it? But it's that simple and dedicated awareness to truth above all else that becomes your rock in this world. In the Buddhist teachings, they say you seek refuge. When you do a Vipassana retreat, I seek refuge in Dhamma, which is the truth. So that's the absolute, infinite, eternal reality of God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love. I seek refuge in Buddha, which is my awakening to the truth. That's my understanding of the truth. And I seek refuge in Sangha, which is the community that I'm part of that supports me in my exploration of the truth, and I support them. And those then become the structures that support you in this exploration of truth that is the purpose of and the meaning of your life. And that's the solid rock of faith he's talking about, on which you then rise up systematically and progressively as you keep returning to that faith, and you raise your awareness up into the Christ or true self, and from there merge into the pure formless awareness of perfect love or heaven. And that'll happen systematically and progressively over time if you keep letting go systematically and progressively of what blocks this awareness. And that's what forgiveness and letting go and corrections are all about. And building your house on the rock means that you will be systematically and progressively letting go of whatever seems to block your awareness of love's presence. So really, really simple. This isn't rocket science. It's not complicated. He's just reminding us of these principles again and again, over and over, in each lesson, in each section of the text, because we're very prone to forget. fact, our whole problem is that we've forgotten these principles, and we now are trying to live our lives by principles that are seemingly opposite to these ones, and it's not going so well. All right, so any other comments or questions on number 2, Elaine? We go to number 3.
Yes, no, that's clear.
All right, so through your holy relationship, reborn and blessed in every holy instant, you do not arrange. Thousands will rise to heaven with you.
Through my innocent relationship, reborn and blessed in every moment, I do not arrange. Thousands will rise to the state of pure formless awareness with me.
Can you plan for this?
Can I plan for this?
Or could you prepare yourself for such a function?
Or could I prepare myself for such a function?
Make it can, shall we? Can I prepare myself? Can I really prepare myself for such a function? Yet it is possible because God wills it.
Yet it is possible because pure formless awareness of perfect love wills it.
Nor will he change his mind about it.
Nor will it change its mind about my function.
The means and purpose both belong to him.
The means and purpose both belong to it.
You have accepted one, the other will be provided.
I have accepted one, and the other will be provided.
A purpose such as this, without the means, is inconceivable.
A purpose such as this without the means for its accomplishment is inconceivable.
Now wait. Number 9. He will provide the means to anyone who shares his purpose. Number 9, Elaine?
Oh, number 9. Pure formless awareness of perfect love will provide the means to anyone who shares its purpose.
Okay, from the top.
Through my innocent relationship, reborn and blessed in every moment, I do not arrange. Thousands will rise to the state of pure formless awareness with me. Can I plan for this? Or can I really prepare myself for such a function? Yet it is possible because pure formless awareness of perfect love wills it. Nor will it change its mind about my function. The means and purpose both belong to it. I have accepted one, and the other will be provided. A purpose such as this without the means for its accomplishment is inconceivable. Pure formless awareness of perfect love will provide the means to anyone who shares its purpose.
Yeah, so thoughts about this?
Let's just saying that we can just rely on this state of, with our little bit of willingness, rely on this state of pure formless awareness. But we can't plan this. And we can't really prepare for it either. But it is possible because pure formless awareness of perfect love does will it. And it's not going to change its mind about our function. So it does mean the purpose both belong to it. So we've accepted one, and the other will be provided.
Yeah.
Pure formless awareness.
Change this. Do not arrange to I do not try to control. Because that's what he's really saying. When you try and control life, you disconnect yourself.
True.
this awareness. Flow is the state where this underlying awareness, pure formless awareness, flows into your awareness and inspires your thoughts, your words, your actions. And so flow is the perceptual equivalent of heaven in this world. When you're in a state of flow, you're able to function in the world and interact in the world, but you're connected to your source. So there's this dimension of pure formless awareness or heaven that comes into the world in the flow state. And it's not passive. It's not just sitting there and being in bliss. You're actually able to operate and function. And that's why he calls us A Course in Miracles, because miracles are primarily about these corrections. They're about action. They're about things happening in form. And the flow is very much concerned with those. So it's an important insight, because otherwise this course can be, well, I'm just going to go to heaven, and heaven is totally formless. So, how do I reconcile that with the world of form and a world where, things need to be done, seemingly? And flow is the reconciliation. Flow, another word for flow, is synchronicity or miracles. Miracles are the state of flow that we can enter into when this deeper awareness, the state of pure formless awareness, is inspiring us. And so it's where the rubber meets the road of this course. Heaven comes into the world in the state of awareness we call flow, and it expresses in and through you. And if you look at the lives of great masters like Yeshua and the Buddha and Lao Tzu and others, they spent a lot of time in flow. Yeah, they had times where they're in deep meditation and samadhi, no doubt, but they spent probably the bulk of their time, certainly as teachers, you can't teach that much if you're in samadhi. You're just checked out. You can't interact with anyone. So their function was executed in the state of flow, where this awareness was there, although underlying. They weren't fully in that. They were still able to sense and perceive and interact in this world. But this underlying pure formless awareness kind of came through in this world and inspired them. Okay. So any other thoughts on this paragraph?
Yes, good.
Okay. Happy to go to number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so happy dreams come true, not because they are dreams, but only because they are happy.
It is no dream to love. Oh, sorry. Yes, I've jumped. Sorry. Happy dreams. Yeah. Happy dreams come true, not because they are dreams, but only because they are happy.
And so they must be loving.
And so they must be loving.
Their message is, thy will be done, and not, I want it otherwise.
Their message is, thy will be done, and not, I want it otherwise.
Let's change that. Their message is, thy will, your awareness be, yeah, thy will be done is another way of saying your awareness be here now, be present. Your awareness be here. Your awareness be here now. And not I want it otherwise. So it's an invitation to this deeper awareness to always be there. It's number 4. The alignment of means and purpose is an undertaking impossible for you to understand.
It's impossible for my little self to understand the alignment of means and purpose.
You do not even realize you have accepted the Holy Spirit's purpose as your own. and you would merely bring unholy means to its accomplishment.
I do not even realize I have accepted the remembrance of perfect love's purpose as my own, and I am trying to use magical means to accomplish it.
That's unholy means. So magic and unholy are a synonym. The little faith it needed to change the purpose is all that is required to receive the means and use them.
The little faith I needed to change the purpose is all that is required of me to perceive the correct means and use them. From the top.
Yeah.
Happy dreams come true, not because they are dreams, but only because they are happy. And so they must be loving. Their message is, your awareness be here now, and not, I want it otherwise. It's impossible for my little self to understand the alignment of means and purpose. I do not realize I have accepted the remembrance of perfect love's purpose as my own, and I am trying to use magic means to accomplish it. The little faith I needed to change the purpose is all that is required of me to perceive the correct means and use them. Yeah.
Okay, what's he saying here? Summary.
Well, it's saying that it's about the happy dream. They are dreams, but they are happy and they're loving. And there's a message that this awareness be with you now and not, I want it otherwise. It's impossible for the separate self to understand the alignment of means and purpose. It's saying it's so we don't realize we've accepted the remembrance of perfect love's purpose as our own and trying to use magical means to accomplish it. So it's saying the little faith needed to change the purpose is all that is required of us to perceive the correct means and use them. We just need a little faith.
Yeah, exactly. Little faith I need. It just starts with a shift, an inner, okay, yes, I surrender to this. Your awareness be here now. It's an invitation. So this loving awareness we call God, this pure formless awareness of perfect love, loving awareness. I invite it in. Let it be in my awareness. Let it be my own awareness. And if I find myself wavering from that, and I've got another awareness coming in, then I need to correct that. I need to let go of that other awareness and return my mind to this loving awareness. Not even realize I've accepted the remembrance of perfect love's purpose as my own, trying to use magical means to accomplish it. Oh, so you're saying, especially at the start of our spiritual journey, we're often quite confused. And we try and use magic to accomplish what can only be accomplished by the Holy Spirit. So often people get involved in various forms of so-called spiritual magic, whether that's plant medicines, any kind of, substance that's supposed to have magic powers, special practices. And he's saying all of this is just magical means to try and accomplish the Holy Spirit's purpose. But all I need is a little faith to change the purpose, to say my purpose is not in this world. My purpose is to transcend the world. And I'm not here to make a better separate self, to improve my separate self, to make my separate self more comfortable, to boost my separate self's esteem in any way. That's not my purpose. My purpose is to transcend the separate self, to let go of the separate self entirely. And I can't use magical means for that, Because magic always implies using something in this world, form, which inevitably creates an attachment to this world. So you can't use magical means to let go of the world, because they always involve getting more attached to the world. You have to go beyond the magical means in your mind. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so let's move swiftly on then to number 5. It is no dream to love your brother as yourself.
It is no dream to love my companion as myself.
So my companions, plural. Nor is your holy relationship a dream.
Nor is my innocent relationship a dream.
All that remains of dreams within it is that it is still a special relationship.
All that remains of dreams within my relationship is that it is still seemingly a special relationship.
Dreams within my relationship, shall we say, is that, let's make it plural because there might be more than one, is that they are still seemingly special relationships. So he's saying that the form of the relationships maintains. You'll still have family, friends, those don't just disappear. They're still seemingly special. Those people you spend more time with in your life. But yet, he says, number 4, yet it is very useful to the Holy Spirit, who has a special function here. So number 4, yet it is very useful.
Yet it is very useful to the remembrance of perfect love, which has a special function here.
It will become the happy dream through which he can spread joy to thousands on thousands who believe that love is fear, not happiness.
It will become the happy dream through which it can spread joy to thousands and thousands who believe that love is fear, not happiness.
So many thousands, shall we? So many thousands of people who believe that love is fear rather than happiness. Now, that's a common delusion. You believe totally upside down, of course, that's the ego. That divine love, this loving awareness is actually to be feared rather than happiness. So we are scared. Maybe you believe that you're fearful of love rather than, I think let's just leave it. We believe that love is fear rather than happiness. If you believe that love is fear rather than happiness, then you're going to shy away from love and you're going to sabotage your own happiness in the process. That's what he's saying, which is what most people in the ego do all the time. So let him fulfill the function that he gave to your relationship by accepting it for you. And nothing will be wanting that would make of it what he would have it be.
Number 6, I let the remembrance of perfect love fulfill the function of awakening that it gave to my relationship by accepting it for me, and so there is nothing preventing my relationship from being what this remembrance wants it to be.
Did you read number 5 as well?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I did read that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let the remembrance of perfect love fulfill the function of awakening and gave to my relationship by accepting it for me, and so there's nothing preventing my relationship from being what this remembrance wants it to be. Okay, so read that in the alternative from the top.
It is no dream to love my companions as myself, nor is my innocent relationship a dream. All that remains of dreams within my relationships is that they are still seemingly special relationships. Yet it is very useful to the remembrance of perfect love, which has a special function here. It will become the happy dream through which it can spread joy to many thousands of people who believe that love is fear rather than happiness. I let the remembrance of perfect love fulfill the function of awakening that it gave to my relationship by accepting it for me, and so there is nothing preventing my relationship from being what this remembrance wants it to be. So it's just saying that it's not a dream to love our companions as our capital self. And nor is my innocent relationship a dream.
Yeah, he's saying these relationships will carry on. And I think misconception in the Course community is, well, all your special relationships should be terminated, done away with. You dedicate yourself to, being a spiritual initiate. You renounce family life, and he's not saying that at all. He's saying, the form of it maintains. You still have those relationships set up by the ego, but now the relationships are different because you've given them to the Holy Spirit or the remembrance of perfect love, and you allow love to transform them, an unconditional love that is not partial, not special love, not I love you because of this or because of that, and I don't love you if you don't do what I want you to do. It's a love that's continual, transcendent, no matter what the person says or does. Unconditional love, which is the hardest kind of love because you can't judge. There has to be this, inherent forgiveness of that person's apparent errors. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone, who's absolutely perfect in this world? No one. So there has to be this forgiveness inherent in the holy relationship at the foundation of it, that you see beyond the person's errors to the loving awareness that you are, and you let that loving awareness start to dominate the relationship. That becomes the source of your thoughts, your words, your actions, rather than the ego, which wants to interpret it differently, every situation. And so every situation in the relationship, if you give it to the holy relationship, you're in the holy relationship, is different. You interpret it completely differently from the ego, which will interpret it for separation. And that split determines the outcome of every situation. Every situation makes up the relationship, and that's how we either get caught up in these very difficult, painful relationships, lots of ego stuff going on, guilt and fear and projection, anger and hatred and attack, and you can get caught up in those for years. Or you say, I've got to change the purpose here. The purpose is to learn this unconditional love through the relationship. And, to do that, I must forgive the other person, no matter what they say or do, I must let it go. And then there's nothing preventing my relationship from being what this remembrance wants it to be. The relationship becomes part of the happy dream that I live. And an integral part of your awakening, because where do you get your lessons? In a relationship, mostly, don't you? If you're honest about it.
Yeah.
So the lessons we get in special relationships are the hardest lessons for anyone to learn, because it seems like there's another person who is not doing what you want them to do, who's being difficult. And the problem, ego tells you the problem is them. They are the problem. The reason why you're unhappy, why you're upset is because they have said or done something, or not said or done something. And, on the level of form, that seems to be justified. And they can, if they're in a pattern, they can do that repeatedly over and over. They do the same thing. You go, well, the temptation is to judge them for that, condemn them for that. Go, well, you're just stupid and unconscious, and it's all pointless. And I just want to leave. I want to depart from the relationship. But in a condemnatory state of mind. Well, I'm departing, condemning you, going, well, you're the problem, and I'll just leave and I'll go somewhere else. Where else exactly, the ego doesn't tell you, but another special relationship probably, in which the same dynamics will play out in time. Whatever relationship you're in, there you are, and there your ego is. So you have to resolve the ego in whatever relationships you find yourself. Those become your lessons, primary lessons for undoing the ego in this world. So he's telling us here very, very clearly that the holy relationship is the ticket home. He's saying this is one of the key ways out of the dream, to learn the remembrance of perfect love, to learn unconditional love in your relationship, and that is a big part of your awakening. If you can do that, then it will accelerate your awakening no end, because it's the ultimate in a special relationship. When someone you apparently care about has hurt you, attacked you, betrayed you, whatever you perceive it, to let that go and say, no, they haven't really, because I don't really exist, neither do they. There's no separate self to be offended or hurt. Do you see why that's so powerful? Because the tendency is so strong to want to judge it as a separate self. We get sucked into that so easily that when you deny that, in the extreme temptation the special relationship presents, it's a major lesson, major undoing starts taking place of the ego. So it's probably the hardest, but also therefore the most powerful way of undoing the ego, in and through transforming your special relationships. Okay, let's carry on. Happy to go on to number 7. We've got 2 more paragraphs. So when you feel the holiness of your relationship is threatened by anything, stop instantly and offer the Holy Spirit your willingness, in spite of fear, to let him exchange this instant for the Holy One that you would rather have.
Whenever I feel the innocence of my relationship is threatened by anything, I will immediately stop and be willing, in spite of fear, to let the remembrance of perfect love replace this negative awareness with the whole awareness that I would rather have.
Yeah, great practice. Just stop, pause, say, is this, am I still in innocence, or am I now judging? Am I believing in fear and guilt and hatred and attack instead? And then you remind yourself, well, actually, I asked the remembrance of perfect love in that moment to replace this negative awareness with the whole awareness that I would rather have. Wow, if we could apply just the sentence in our special relationships, how different they would be.
Yeah.
Massively different, huge change in the relationships in our lives. But to do it, whenever I feel the innocence of my relationship being threatened, to have the awareness to say, okay, I'll immediately stop, pause, right, and be willing to let it go, and to let the remembrance of perfect love replace this negative awareness with a whole awareness that I would rather have. Okay, I'm going to let go of the fear, the anger, the attack thought. I'm going to drop it, and I'm going to allow this deeper underlying loving awareness to replace it when you're very tempted not to. Often you've been triggered, someone said something or done something, you're feeling angry, you're feeling upset. This is where the rubber meets the road of a course, and why it's so difficult, and why it's also so powerful, why it's so practical and real. Like, okay, it's this is what it comes down to. All right, so number 2, he will never fail in this.
Sorry I will, because I'm going out very shortly and I've got to take the dogs and sort them. Could we resume back maybe at 8 o'clock to finish it, or something like that, or 8:15 maybe? Yeah, maybe 8:15. Because
Can
I'm
you
really
hang
running
on
out.
for
I'm
can
absolutely
you hang on
no,
for 10 minutes and we'll finish it?
no,
You've only got
I
two
really
paragraphs.
can't. To be honest, no, I'm late as it is. I've got loads to do. We've got to be there for 6 o'clock, so I'm actually was hoping to be finished by 5, so I do apologize, but I would rather not, because I'm going to be panicking.
Yeah.
And I don't like running around like a whatever. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can come back. How many more is there to do?
Just 2 paragraphs. Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be back by about 8 o'clock, so that's a shame. I mean, I can certainly resume back then to finish it off, but it's probably going to, the recording's probably going to be interrupted, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll have to stop it. Yeah, I suppose we could do that.
It's going to be 8 before I get back, so it'll be about 8:15 to be realistic. Because I'm just out for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So should we do that just to finish it off?
Yeah, okay.
And then it's not rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, but yeah, needs must. And I've got a dog that's getting desperate for the toilet. Right. So perhaps if that's okay to resume back about 8:15, or just to finish it off.
Yeah.
Unless something crops up with you.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go for a run, but I'll be back then. So 8:30,
right. Yeah, just to finish it off.
We'll probably take half an hour. Yeah. All right. See you 8:30.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
See you at 8:30. Thanks, Jono. Bye.
Okay, so that is a wrap for today. For this session, we're gonna just finish off with a half an hour session this evening to finish the session and maybe do a quick meditation. So join us then. If you you're watching this on the live stream or recording and you enjoyed the session, then please do hit the subscribe button to be notified whenever I go live, which is 3 or 4 times a week. And you'll be notified by YouTube and be able to watch the live stream or the recording. You can also head over to lifepult.com and you'll be able to join our Telegram group from there. It's a free group to which I send the daily quote you saw at the beginning of the session and related teachings and the workbook lesson for the day from A Course in Miracles, and also send out a short breath break or mini meditation to help you practice the lesson and notify you about a daily live session, and usually some other resources like movies and stuff once a week. So all free. Go to lifepult.com. You can see spelling of Lifepult in the background. Just add a .com on there and sign up to take it deeper. And who knows, maybe I'll see you in one of the live sessions soon. Feel free to join us. Okay, so look forward to connecting with you soon. I hope to meet you on the inside, and wishing you much love, peace, and joy. Namaste, which means the happy self in me acknowledges and honors that